Stop. Before you watch this, answer one question. Why, after years of learning English, do you still hesitate when you speak? Why does your mind go blank in the exact moment you need words the most? It's not your grammar. It's not your vocabulary. It's something deeper. Your brain is still thinking in the wrong language. And until you fix that, fluency will always feel just out of reach. But today, that changes. Because in the next few minutes, you're not going to learn English. You're going to rewire your brain to think in English instantly. No grammar, no translating, no overthinking, just pure natural thought. And once this switch happens, there is no going back. 1. Stop translating completely. Let me tell you something most English learners never realize. The real problem is not your vocabulary. It's not your grammar. It's not even your confidence. The real problem is happening silently inside your mind. Every time you try to speak English, your brain does something slow and exhausting. It pauses. It goes back to your native language. It builds the sentence there, and then it tries to convert it into English, word by word, piece by piece. And while this is happening, the conversation keeps moving. People are talking. Moments are passing. Opportunities disappear. And you're still stuck translating. That's why you feel pressure. That's why you feel nervous. That's why your mind suddenly goes blank. Because translation is not thinking. It's processing. And processing is slow. Imagine trying to run while carrying a heavy bag on your back. That bag is your native language. Every sentence you speak, you carry it first, then you move. Now imagine dropping that bag. Suddenly, you move faster, lighter, more freely. That's what happens when you stop translating. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You cannot become fluent if you keep translating. Not slowly, not partially, not even a little. Because translation creates a habit, and habits shape your brain. If you keep translating, your brain learns English is something I must convert. But fluent speakers don't convert anything. They don't think, how do I say this in English? They just say it. Because their brain is directly connected to the language. And this is exactly what you need to build, a direct connection. Not English turn your language turn meaning, but English turn meaning, instant, automatic, natural. So how do you start? You begin with something very simple, but very powerful. You stop translating small things, not everything, just small things. When you see a chair, don't think of the word in your language. Just say in your mind, chair. When you drink water, don't describe it in your language first. Just think, I drink water. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Your brain will resist because it's used to the old system, the slow system, the translation system. But if you keep going, something starts to change. The pause becomes shorter. The effort becomes lighter. The thoughts become faster. And one day, without even realizing it, you stop translating. You just understand. You just think. You just speak. This is the moment everything shifts. This is the moment English stops being something you study and becomes something you use. So from now on, catch yourself. Every time your brain tries to translate, stop it. Bring it back. Keep it simple. Stay in English. Because fluency doesn't begin when you learn more words. It begins the moment you stop translating them. 2. Think in simple words. Let me break a myth that is silently holding you back. You think you need advanced English to become fluent. Big words, perfect sentences, complex grammar. But the truth is the opposite. Complex English is what's slowing you down. Every time you try to build a perfect sentence in your mind, your brain freezes. It searches for the right tense, the right structure, the perfect word. And while you're thinking, the moment disappears. That's why you hesitate. That's why you feel stuck. Because perfection is pressure, and pressure kills fluency. Now think about how you speak in your own language. You don't always use perfect sentences. You don't think about grammar rules. You don't search for complicated words. You just speak naturally. Simple, direct, fast. That's exactly how English works too. Fluent speakers don't try to sound smart. They try to sound clear. Instead of saying, "I am extremely exhausted due to excessive workload," they say, "I am very tired." Instead of thinking, "I need to purchase groceries for my household," they think, "I need to buy food." Short, easy, immediate. This is the secret. Your brain works faster with simple language because simple words are easier to remember, easier to connect, and easier to use in real time. So if you want to start thinking in English, you must simplify everything. Break your thoughts into small pieces. Instead of thinking a full sentence, start with just a few words. I go work. I eat now. I feel tired. Is it perfect? No, but it's powerful because now your brain is thinking directly in English. No translation, no pressure, no delay. And here's what happens next. As you keep thinking in simple English, your brain starts to upgrade naturally, without forcing it. Those small sentences slowly become better. I go work becomes I go to work. I eat now becomes I am eating now. But this improvement happens automatically, not because you forced grammar, but because your brain adapted through use. This is how real fluency grows, not from perfection, but from repetition and simplicity. So from now on, give yourself permission to be simple, to be basic, to be imperfect, because simple English spoken quickly is far more powerful than perfect English stuck in your head. And the moment you stop trying to sound perfect, you finally start sounding fluent. 3. Use repetition in your mind. There is a reason children become fluent in a language without ever studying it. They don't memorize grammar rules. They don't write notes. They don't sit and learn. They repeat again and again and again. And that repetition quietly builds something powerful inside the brain, a pattern. Now think about your own learning. You probably watch videos, you read, you listen, but then you move on. You don't repeat. And that's why your brain forgets. Because your brain is not designed to remember something once. It's designed to remember what it sees repeatedly. Repetition is how the brain says, "This is important. Keep this." So if you want to think in English, you must give your brain the same message, not once, but many times. Start with very simple thoughts. I am walking. I am sitting. I feel tired. I see a car. Say them in your mind, not one time, but again and again. At first, it will feel boring. Your brain will say, "I already know this." But knowing something is not the same as being able to use it instantly. Repetition turns knowledge into instinct. It removes the delay. It removes the thinking. It makes the response automatic. That's the goal. Not to know English, but to react in English. So when you walk outside, repeat, "I am walking. I am walking. I am walking." When you drink water, I am drinking water. I am drinking water. You're not just practicing words. You are training your brain to stay inside English without escaping back to your native language. And something interesting starts to happen. At first, you repeat slowly, then naturally, then without even trying. Your brain begins to think in English on its own. This is when the shift begins, but only if you stay consistent. Repetition is not powerful because it's exciting. It's powerful because it's consistent. It builds neural pathways quietly in the background, day by day, until one day you don't need to repeat anymore because your brain has already learned the pattern, and now it just thinks. So don't chase new words every day. Take the same simple sentences and repeat them until they become part of you. Because fluency is not built on variety, it is built on repetition. 4. Label everything around you. Right now, look around you. Don't move. Don't overthink. Just notice what's in front of you. A phone, a table, a door, a wall, a light. These are not just objects. These are opportunities. Opportunities to train your brain instantly. Most learners wait for the right time to practice English. They open a book, they watch a video, they sit down and try to learn. But fluency is not built in special moments. It's built in ordinary ones. And the fastest way to turn your daily life into English practice is to label everything you see, not out loud, not perfectly, just in your mind. You look at your phone, phone. You see a chair, chair. You open a door, door. Simple, direct, immediate. At first, it may feel too easy, almost pointless. Your brain might say, this is basic, this won't help. But this is exactly where transformation begins, because right now, your brain is used to this pattern. Object, your language, English. But when you label directly in English, you break that pattern. Now it becomes object to English. No translation, no delay, no confusion. This is how you build a direct connection, and the more you do it, the faster that connection becomes. Soon, you won't even try to label things. Your brain will do it automatically. You'll see a car and instantly think car. You'll see a door and instantly think door. Without effort, without thinking. This is how fluency starts to grow silently. But don't stop at single words. Once you feel comfortable, expand slightly. The door is open. The light is on. My phone is in my hand. Still simple, still easy. But now your brain is building structure naturally. Not from rules, but from use. And here's the powerful part. You can do this anywhere. At home, on the street, in a car, in a room full of people. No one needs to know, because this practice happens inside your mind. Quiet, continuous, powerful. So from now on, stop waiting for time to practice English. Your environment is already your classroom. Everything you see is a lesson. Everything around you is a word. And the more you label your world in English, the faster your brain starts living in it. 5. Think in real time. This is where everything begins to change. Up until now, you've been learning how to build English inside your mind. You've stopped translating. You've simplified your thoughts. You've started repeating and labeling. But now, it's time to do something deeper. It's time to think in English as your life is happening. Not before, not after, but during. Because here's the truth. Most learners live in a delay. Something happens, then they think about it, then they try to form it in English. By that time, the moment is already gone. You're always one step behind your own life. That's why conversations feel fast. That's why you feel unprepared. That's why your brain struggles to keep up. Because you're not thinking in real time. You're thinking after the moment. Fluent speakers don't do that. They don't wait. They don't pause to build perfect sentences. They think as life unfolds. When they walk, they think, I'm walking. When they see something interesting, that looks nice. When something surprises them, what was that? Instant reaction, no delay, no translation, no construction, just thought and then speech. This is the skill you need to build, and it starts with something very simple. You begin to follow your actions with English thoughts. Right now, whatever you are doing, describe it in your mind. If you are sitting, I am sitting. If you are holding your phone, I am holding my phone. If you are reading this, I am reading. It may feel slow at first. You might struggle to keep up. Your brain might pause. That's normal, because your brain is not used to this speed yet. It's used to thinking in your own language and then translating later. But now you are training it to stay present inside English. And that takes practice. So don't rush. Start small. Just follow your actions with simple English thoughts. I stand up. I walk to the door. I open it. I look outside. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to stay connected. That connection is everything. Because once your brain learns to stay in English during your actions, it stops falling back into your native language, and something powerful begins to happen. Your thoughts become faster. Your reactions become natural. You don't need to search for words. They start appearing on their own. This is the beginning of real fluency. But here's where most people fail. They only practice when they feel ready. They say, I'll think in English when I know more words. That's a mistake. You don't wait to think in English. You think in English to learn English. Even if your sentences are broken, even if you don't know the exact word, you keep going. If you don't know a word, simplify it. Instead of stopping, move around it. You want to say, I am unlocking the door, but you don't know unlocking. So you say, I open the door with key. Not perfect, but effective. This keeps your brain moving. This keeps your thinking alive. And over time, your brain fills the gaps, naturally, without pressure, without stress. Another powerful technique is to react to your environment. Something falls, it fell. You hear a noise. What is that? You feel tired. I need rest. These small reactions train your brain to respond instantly. And that's the goal. Not slow thinking, not perfect thinking, fast, natural thinking. Because conversations don't wait. People don't pause while you translate. Real life moves quickly. And if you want to keep up, your thoughts must move with it. This is why real-time thinking is so powerful. It connects your brain directly to your life. No gap, no delay, no second step. Just experience and English happening together. And the more you practice this, the more your brain adapts. At first, it feels like effort. Then it feels like practice. Then it feels normal. And one day, you stop noticing it. You're just thinking in English. Not because you forced it, but because your brain learned to stay there. So from now on, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Your life is already happening. Just start thinking with it right now, because fluency doesn't come from thinking about English later. It comes from thinking in English in the moment you are living. 6. Use short internal conversations. There is a level beyond thinking in words, a level where your English stops being single thoughts and starts becoming a flow. That level is built through conversation, not with other people, but with yourself. Right now, most of your thoughts are short and disconnected. I'm tired. I need food. I have work. These are good. They are the beginning. But real fluency doesn't live in single sentences. It lives in interaction, in questions, in answers, in reactions. And the fastest way to build that inside your brain is to start having short internal conversations. At first, this may feel strange, talking to yourself inside your mind. But here's the truth. You already do this every day, just not in English. You ask yourself questions. You think through problems. You imagine situations. Your mind is constantly talking. So instead of trying to create something new, you simply change the language. You bring that same inner voice into English. Start with simple questions. What am I doing? Where am I going? What should I do next? Then answer them. I am sitting. I am going home. I will eat. Keep it short. Keep it simple. Don't try to sound perfect. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to create flow. Because when your brain starts asking and answering in English, something powerful happens. You remove the need for translation completely. Why? Because conversations don't give you time to translate. They move fast. And when you practice internal conversations, you train your brain to keep up with that speed. At first, your answers may be slow. You might pause. You might feel stuck, but that's part of the process. Your brain is adjusting. It's learning to stay inside English longer than before. And every time you continue the conversation, you make that connection stronger. Here's a simple way to practice. Throughout your day, pick random moments and start a small conversation in your mind. You're walking somewhere. Ask, "Where am I going?" Answer, "I am going to the shop." Then continue, "What will I buy?" "I will buy water." Then maybe, "Do I need anything else?" "No, just water." This is not just thinking. This is building a chain, a flow, a natural movement of thoughts. And this is exactly how real conversations work. One sentence leads to another. One idea leads to the next. You are training your brain to stay engaged, to not stop after one sentence, to keep going. That's what creates fluency, not isolated words, but connected thinking. Another powerful method is to create small imaginary situations. Ask yourself, what if someone talks to me right now? What will I say? Then answer it. "Hi, how are you?" "I am fine." "Where are you from?" "I am from." You are preparing your brain for real life. So when the moment comes, it doesn't feel new. It feels familiar, and you respond faster, more naturally, without panic, without hesitation. This is how confidence is built, not by waiting, but by rehearsing inside your mind. And the more you do this, the more your brain starts thinking in full conversations, not just words, not just sentences, but complete ideas. At some point, something shifts. You stop forcing the conversation. It starts happening automatically. You catch yourself thinking in English without trying. That's the goal. That's when English becomes part of your thinking system. So from now on, don't just think in single lines. Start asking yourself questions. Start answering them. Build small conversations inside your mind. Because the moment your brain learns to talk to itself in English, you are no longer learning the language. You are living it. 7. Accept broken English. This is the lesson most people avoid. Not because it's difficult, but because it hurts the ego. You want to sound good. You want to sound correct. You want to sound like someone who already knows English. So every time you try to speak or think, you stop yourself. You correct yourself. You hesitate. You wait. And in that waiting, something dangerous happens. Silence. Not because you don't know English, but because you're afraid of getting it wrong. Let's be honest. The real reason you're not fluent yet is not lack of knowledge. It's fear of making mistakes. And that fear creates pressure. You start thinking, what if I say it wrong? What if people don't understand? What if I sound stupid? So your brain chooses the safest option. It says nothing. But fluency is not built in silence. It's built in movement. And movement is messy. Here's the truth you need to accept right now. Your English will be broken. Not once, not sometimes, many times. And that's not a problem. That's the process. Every fluent speaker you admire started exactly where you are, saying things wrong, mixing words, forgetting grammar, making mistakes. But they kept going, while others stopped. That's the difference. Fluent people don't speak perfect English. They speak without stopping. They don't let mistakes control their flow. They keep moving forward, even when it's not perfect. And that's what you must learn, to keep going, even when your English is broken. Because broken English is still communication. Broken English still carries meaning. Broken English still moves the conversation forward. Silence does not. Silence kills momentum. Silence keeps you stuck in your head. But the moment you allow yourself to speak imperfectly, something powerful happens. Your brain relaxes, the pressure drops, the fear weakens. And when fear disappears, speed appears. You start speaking faster, thinking faster, reacting faster, because you are no longer trying to be perfect. You are trying to be understood. That shift changes everything. Let me show you what this looks like. You want to say, I didn't get enough sleep last night because I was working on an important project. But your brain struggles. You don't know how to build that sentence quickly. So instead of stopping, you simplify. I sleep less. I work. Project. Very busy. Is it perfect? No. But does it communicate? Yes. The other person understands you. The message is delivered. And most importantly, you didn't stop. That's the win. Because every time you choose to speak, instead of staying silent, you train your brain to trust itself. You build confidence through action, not through perfection. And over time, something incredible happens. Your broken English starts fixing itself. Not because you studied more grammar, but because you used the language more. Your brain begins to notice patterns. It adjusts. It improves, naturally, without pressure, without forcing it. This is how children learn. They don't wait to speak perfectly. They speak with mistakes. They repeat. They adjust. And slowly, their language becomes correct. You must follow the same path. But most adults do the opposite. They wait. They prepare. They try to be perfect before speaking. And because perfection never comes, they never start. Don't fall into that trap. Start speaking now. Start thinking now. Even if it's wrong, even if it's messy, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because discomfort is growth. Every time you feel uncomfortable speaking English, it means you are pushing your brain to change. That's where progress happens. Another important truth: people don't care about your mistakes as much as you think. They care about understanding you. They care about the message, not the grammar. And even if they notice your mistakes, it doesn't matter. Because you are learning, you are improving, you are moving forward, and they respect that. But even if they don't, you still win. Because you are building something inside your brain that no one can take away. Confidence, speed, fluency, all built through action. So from now on, make a decision. Stop chasing perfect English. Start using real English. Your English. Broken, simple, real. Speak it, think it, use it, and don't stop. Because the moment you accept broken English, you unlock fluent English. Not overnight, but step by step, word by word, moment by moment, until one day you realize something has changed. You are no longer afraid. You are no longer slow. You are no longer translating. You are just speaking, just thinking, just being. And that's when English stops feeling like a language and starts feeling like a part of you. 8. Feed your brain English daily. Your brain is not a machine that learns once and remembers forever. It is a system that adapts based on what you feed it every single day. And right now, whether you realize it or not, your brain is being trained. Not by your effort, but by your environment. The language you hear, the content you watch, the thoughts you repeat, all of it is shaping how your brain thinks. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. What language is your brain living in most of the day? Because whatever language dominates your environment becomes the language your brain prefers. If you spend 90% of your day hearing and thinking in your native language and only 10% in English, your brain will always go back to what feels familiar. Not because it's better, but because it's stronger. Because it has more exposure, more repetition, more presence. This is why many learners feel stuck. They study English for 1 hour, then spend the rest of the day completely disconnected from it. And then they wonder, why can't I think in English? The answer is simple: because your brain is not surrounded by it. Fluency is not built in isolation. It is built in immersion. But here's the good news. You don't need to move to another country. You don't need a perfect environment. You can create your own, right where you are, by feeding your brain English every single day. Not just during study time, but throughout your life. Start with what you already do daily. You watch videos, you scroll your phone, you listen to something while resting. Change the language of those moments. Watch content in English. Listen to English audio, even if you don't understand everything. That's not the goal. The goal is exposure, because your brain learns patterns, even when you're not fully aware. It picks up rhythm, it notices tone, it recognizes structure. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. At first, it may feel overwhelming, too fast, too unclear. You might feel like you're not learning anything, but something is happening beneath the surface. Your brain is adjusting. It's getting used to the sound of English, and that familiarity is the first step to thinking in it. But don't just listen passively. Engage with what you hear. When someone says something simple, pause and repeat it in your mind. Not perfectly, just try. Catch small phrases. I think so. That's good. I don't know. These are real expressions, real thoughts, and when you repeat them, you start owning them. They become part of your thinking. Another powerful method is to match your thoughts with what you hear. If someone says, I'm going home, you think, I go home. You are connecting input with your own thinking. This builds a bridge between listening and speaking, and that bridge is where fluency lives. But here's something even more important: consistency. Feeding your brain English once in a while won't change anything. It has to be daily, even if it's small, even if it's just 10 minutes, because your brain doesn't need intensity. It needs repetition. It needs frequency. It needs to feel like English is a normal part of your life, not something special, not something separate, something natural, something constant. And over time, something shifts. At first, English feels foreign. Then it feels familiar. Then it feels comfortable. And eventually, it feels automatic. You start understanding without translating. You start recognizing patterns instantly. You start thinking in English without forcing it. But this only happens if you feed your brain consistently. You cannot starve it of English and expect it to think in English. It doesn't work that way. Your brain uses what it receives. So give it English every day, in small ways, in natural ways, in consistent ways. Replace some of your habits, not all, just a few. Watch one video in English. Listen to one audio in English. Think for a few minutes in English. That's enough to start. Because fluency is not built in one big decision. It is built in small daily choices, repeated over time. And the more you surround yourself with English, the less effort it takes to use it. Because your brain is no longer searching for it. It's already there. So from now on, don't just try to learn English. Live around it. Let it enter your day. Let it stay in your mind. Let it become familiar. Because the more you feed your brain English, the more your brain becomes English. 9. Speak before you're ready. There is a lie that keeps most people stuck for years. It sounds reasonable. It feels smart. It feels safe. I'll speak when I'm ready. But that moment never comes. Because readiness is an illusion. You don't become ready by waiting. You become ready by doing. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Let's be honest about what's really happening. You are not waiting to be ready. You are waiting to feel comfortable. You want to feel confident. You want to feel sure. You want to feel like you won't make mistakes, so you delay speaking. You keep learning. You keep watching. You keep preparing. But you avoid the one thing that actually builds fluency: speaking. Because speaking feels risky. It exposes your mistakes. It reveals your weaknesses. It puts you in a position where you can fail, and your brain doesn't like that. So it protects you. It tells you, not yet. Learn more first. Practice more in your head. But here's the truth you need to accept. You will never feel fully ready. Even advanced learners feel nervous sometimes. Even fluent speakers make mistakes. So if you wait for perfect confidence, you will wait forever. The only way forward is through action. You must speak before you feel ready, not after. Because speaking is not the result of learning. Speaking is the process of learning. Every time you speak, you force your brain to work faster. You force it to find words. You force it to build sentences. You force it to stay in English. And that pressure is exactly what creates growth. Think about it like this. Your brain is like a muscle. If you never use it under pressure, it stays weak. But when you push it, when you challenge it, it adapts. It becomes faster, stronger, more efficient. Speaking does that. It pushes your brain out of comfort and into performance. And that's where real change happens. Now here's the important part. Speaking doesn't mean long conversations. It doesn't mean perfect sentences. It doesn't mean public speaking. It starts small, very small. You can speak alone. Yes, alone. In your room, in your car, in your mind. Say things out loud. Describe what you are doing. I am sitting. I am working. I need water. It may feel strange at first, but this is how you break the barrier. Because the biggest obstacle is not language, it's hesitation. And the only way to destroy hesitation is through action. Once you get comfortable speaking alone, take the next step. Speak with someone. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be long. Even a few sentences are enough. The goal is not to impress. The goal is to move. To speak despite the fear. To continue despite the mistakes. Because every time you do that, your brain learns something powerful. It learns that speaking is possible. It learns that mistakes are not dangerous. It learns that communication matters more than perfection. And slowly, that fear starts to disappear. But if you keep waiting, that fear grows. It becomes stronger. It becomes a habit. And habits are hard to break. That's why you must act now. Not later. Not when you feel ready. Now, even if your voice shakes. Even if your words are broken. Even if you feel uncomfortable. Because discomfort is a signal. It means you are doing something new. Something important. Something that will change you. And here's what happens over time. At first, speaking feels difficult. You pause a lot. You struggle. You search for words. Then it becomes easier. You pause less. You think faster. You feel more relaxed. And one day, you speak without thinking too much. You respond naturally. You stay in the conversation. That's fluency, not perfect grammar, not perfect pronunciation, but the ability to express yourself without stopping. And that only comes from speaking, not from waiting. So make a decision. Stop preparing endlessly. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start speaking before you're ready. Because the moment you do, you stop being a learner and you become a user of the language. And that is where everything changes. 10. Create emotional connection. There is something powerful your brain does that most people never use. It remembers what it feels, not what it studies, not what it memorizes, what it feels. Think about your life. You don't remember every sentence you've read. You don't remember every lesson you've studied, but you remember moments. Moments that made you happy. Moments that made you nervous. Moments that made you excited or afraid. Why? Because emotion creates memory. And if you want English to stay in your mind, you must connect it to emotion. Right now, most of your English learning is neutral, flat, dry, without feeling. You read words, you listen to sentences, you repeat phrases. But there's no emotional connection. So your brain doesn't treat it as important. It forgets, because to your brain, it's just information, not experience. But the moment you add emotion, everything changes. Your brain pays attention. It holds on. It remembers. So instead of learning English like a subject, you start living it like an experience. Let me show you how. Start connecting your real feelings to English, not fake sentences, not textbook examples, your real emotions. If you feel tired, don't just think silently. Say it in English. I feel tired. If you feel stressed, I feel stressed. If something makes you happy, I am happy. These are not just sentences, these are emotional signals. And when your brain connects English to real feelings, it becomes stronger, more natural, more personal. Now take it one step deeper. Don't just name your emotions. Describe them. I feel tired because I didn't sleep well. I feel nervous because I have work. I feel excited because something good is coming. Even if your sentences are simple, you are creating meaning. You are building connection. And connection is what makes language stick. Because now English is not just something you learn, it's something you use to express yourself. And that is powerful. Another way to build emotional connection is through imagination. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between real and imagined experiences. If you imagine something clearly, your brain reacts as if it's real. So use that. Imagine situations in English. Imagine you are meeting someone new. What do you say? Hi, how are you? I am fine. Imagine you are in a difficult situation. What do you feel? I feel nervous. I don't know what to say. Imagine success. Imagine speaking confidently. I can do this. I speak well. These imagined emotions create real impact. They train your brain to associate English with real-life experiences. And over time, those reactions become automatic. You don't think about the words. You feel them and they come out. That's fluency. Now here's something important. Don't avoid negative emotions. Most people only want to speak positively, but real life is not always positive. You feel stress, you feel confusion, you feel frustration. Use those moments. If you feel frustrated, say it. I feel frustrated. If you don't understand something, I don't understand. These are real expressions, real communication. And the more you use English in emotional moments, the deeper it becomes inside you. Because your brain says, this matters, this is important, and it holds on to it. But if you only practice English when you feel nothing, it stays weak, disconnected, easy to forget. So from now on, use your emotions as your teacher. Every feeling is an opportunity. Every reaction is a sentence. Every moment is practice. And the more you connect English to your life, the less it feels like a foreign language. It becomes yours, your thoughts, your feelings, your voice. And when that happens, you don't need to remember English, you just feel it. And it comes out naturally. That's the power of emotional connection. That's how you move from learning to living the language. 11. Train your brain daily. This is where most people fail. Not because they are not smart, not because they don't understand English, but because they are not consistent. They try hard for a few days. They feel motivated. They practice a lot. And then they stop. Life gets busy. Energy drops. Motivation disappears. And slowly, everything fades. The words feel distant. The thinking becomes slow again. The confidence disappears. And they think, maybe I'm not good at English. But that's not the truth. The truth is simple. Your brain didn't change because your habits didn't stay. Fluency is not built in one powerful day. It is built in small, repeated days, every single day. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when you are tired. Even when you think it's not working. Because your brain doesn't care about motivation. It cares about repetition. It cares about patterns. It changes when something happens again and again and again. That's how habits are formed. And thinking in English is a habit. Not a talent, not a gift. A habit. Which means if you do it daily, it becomes automatic. If you stop, it disappears. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation. You don't need reminders. You just do it because it's part of your life. That's what English needs to become. Not a special activity, not something you schedule, something you live with, daily. But here's where people make a mistake. They try to do too much. They say, from today I will study for 2 hours. I will watch everything in English. I will speak all day. And for a few days, they do it. Then they get tired. overwhelmed, and they quit because it's not sustainable. Consistency is not built on intensity, it is built on simplicity. Small actions repeated daily. That's the key. So instead of trying to change everything, choose a few simple habits, very small, but very consistent. For example, think in English for 5–10 minutes. Label things around you. Have a short internal conversation. Listen to something in English. That's it. Not hours, just minutes. But every day, no excuses. Because what matters is not how long you practice, it's how often you return. Your brain learns through frequency, not effort. If you do something for 10 minutes every day, it becomes part of your system. Your brain expects it, it adapts to it, and over time, it becomes automatic. But if you do something for 2 hours, once a week, your brain treats it as something temporary, something unimportant, something it can forget. That's why daily training is powerful. It sends a clear message. This matters. This is part of my life. And your brain responds. It starts building connections. It strengthens pathways. It makes English easier to access without you even noticing. At first, it feels like effort. You remind yourself. You push yourself. You practice consciously. Then it becomes easier. You think in English without trying. You notice words faster. You react quicker. And one day, you don't even realize you're doing it. You are just thinking in English, naturally. That's the power of daily training. But there's one more important thing. Don't judge your progress every day. Most people quit because they don't see immediate results. They think, I practiced today, but nothing changed. So they stop. But your brain doesn't change instantly. It changes slowly, quietly, in the background. Like building muscle. You don't see results after one workout, but if you stay consistent, the change becomes visible. The same is true for English. You may not feel progress every day, but if you continue, you will notice something. One day you understand faster. One day you speak more easily. One day you think without translating, and you realize something has shifted. That shift only comes from consistency. So from now on, stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting to feel inspired. Build a routine, even a small one, and protect it. Because that routine is what will transform your brain. Day by day, step by step. Until English is no longer something you practice, but something you naturally do. That's when you know you've trained your brain successfully. 12. Become the English version of you. This is the final shift, and it's not about vocabulary. It's not about grammar. It's not even about practice anymore. It's about identity. Because the truth is, you don't struggle with English because it's difficult. You struggle because you are still trying to use English as someone who doesn't fully believe it belongs to them. Deep inside, there are two versions of you. The version that thinks, feels, reacts naturally in your native language, and another version that tries to operate in English, carefully, slowly, uncertain. That second version feels weaker, not because it is, but because you treat it like a stranger. You don't trust it yet. You don't fully step into it. So every time you speak English, you hesitate, you hold back, you question yourself. But here's what you need to understand. Fluency is not just a skill. It's a shift in identity. You are not just learning English. You are becoming someone who lives in English. And until you accept that fully, your progress will always feel limited. So what does it mean to become the English version of you? It means you stop separating yourself from the language. You stop thinking, this is not my language. I am not good at this. I am just learning. Instead, you start thinking, this is me. This is how I express. This is my voice too. That shift is powerful because your brain follows your identity. If you believe English is something external, your brain treats it as something optional, something secondary. But if you believe English is part of who you are, your brain starts integrating it deeply, naturally, automatically. Let's go deeper. Right now, When you speak your native language, you are not thinking about words. You are not translating. You are not analyzing. You are just being yourself. Confident, natural, effortless. That's because your identity and your language are connected. You don't question it. You don't doubt it. You trust it. Now imagine bringing that same mindset into English. Not pretending, not acting, but allowing yourself to be that version. Even if it's not perfect yet. Even if it feels unfamiliar. Because at the beginning, it will feel strange. Like you are stepping into a new role, a new personality. You might feel less expressive, less confident, less natural. That's normal, because this version of you is still growing, still forming. But if you keep stepping into it, something changes, slowly, quietly. You start feeling more comfortable. You start trusting your words. You start expressing your thoughts more freely. And one day, that English version of you stops feeling separate. It becomes you. This is where true fluency begins, not when you know more words, but when you stop doubting yourself while using them. Now, here's something important. Don't wait until you are perfect to become this version. Become it now, even with simple English, even with mistakes, even with limited vocabulary, because identity is not built after mastery. It is built during the process. Every time you think in English, you are stepping into that version. Every time you speak, you are strengthening it. Every time you choose English over silence, you are becoming it. So don't treat English like a test. Don't treat it like something outside of you. Treat it like a part of your voice, because that's what it is, a way for you to express your ideas, your thoughts, your personality. And the more you use it, the more it reflects you. Not perfectly, but authentically. Another powerful shift is this. Stop trying to sound like someone else. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You don't need to copy anyone. You don't need a perfect accent. You just need to be clear, to be real, to be yourself in English. Because fluency is not about imitation. It's about expression, your way, your voice. And when you accept that, you remove the pressure, you remove the fear, you stop comparing yourself, and you start growing faster. Because now, you are not trying to become someone else. You are expanding who you already are. And English becomes a tool for that expansion. Not a barrier, not a limitation, a bridge. So from this moment, make a decision. You are not just learning English. You are becoming someone who uses it naturally, someone who thinks in it, someone who speaks without fear, someone who expresses freely. Step into that version every day, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels unfamiliar, because that discomfort is transformation. And the more you stay in it, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, you don't switch between languages anymore. You don't think about it. You don't question it. You just speak. You just think. You just are. And that's the moment you realize English is no longer something you learned. It's something you became. So now you understand, fluency was never about grammar. It was never about memorizing rules. It was about how your brain thinks. And today, you didn't just learn English. You started changing the way your mind works. From this moment, catch your thoughts. Stop translating. Keep it simple. Think in English, even if it's broken. Because every small thought is building a new version of you. And one day, very soon, you won't even realize it happened. You'll just be speaking, naturally, effortlessly, and you'll remember this moment as the moment everything changed.